Hello everyone, welcome to Competitive Academia. So from today onwards, we are starting a new initiative where we are going to ask you some MCQs based questions, and this video is going to be helpful for all those aspirants who are preparing for State PCS, EPFO, RO, ARO, SSC and other competitive exams. So let's move to the first question. Which of the following act laid the foundation for central administration in India? You can pause the video and tick the correct answer. The correct answer here is option B. Now, the Regulating Act of 1773, it marked the beginning of a strong central administration in India. The Governor of Bengal came to be known as Governor General of Bengal. Lord Warren Hastings was the first Governor General of Bengal. It was the first step taken to control and regulate the affairs of the East India Company. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following act brought up the provision of ordinance which could be issued by the Viceroy? The correct answer here is option A. Now, the Act of 1861 marked the beginning of decentralization. The legislative powers were restored to Madras and Bombay, who were made subordinate by the Regulating Act of 1773. The Viceroy came up with a portfolio system to make transactions more easier. Moving on to the next slide. Who among the following proposed of setting up a constituent assembly? The correct answer here is option B, that is M.N. Roy. M.N. Roy was one of the founders of Communist Party of India. It was he who first proposed to set up a constituent assembly. The Indian National Congress also demanded setting up of constituent assembly in the year 1935, which was accepted by the August offer of 1940. The next question is, the Constituent Assembly was formed under which of the following plan? The correct answer here is option B, that is Cabinet Mission Plan. Now, Cabinet Mission Plan came to India in the year 1946. It consisted of 3 members. They were A.V. Alexander, Stafford Cripps and Pethick Lawrence. Moving on to the next slide. The Supreme Court at Calcutta was formed under which of the following act? The correct answer here is option A, that is Regulating Act of 1773. The Supreme Court consisted of 1 Chief Justice and 3 other judges. The next question is, who among the following was the first Indian to be associated with the lawmaking process? The correct answer here is option D, that is Satyendra Prasad Sinha. The Act of 1861 was passed which started associating Indians with the lawmaking process. Moving on to the next slide. Which of the following was known as White Paper on Constitutional Reform? The correct answer here is option B, that is Simon Commission Report. The Simon Commission was an all-white member committee which was strongly condemned by Gandhiji and other leaders. It came to India to review the working of Government of India Act 1919. Moving on to the next question. Who among the following held the first meeting of the Constituent Assembly? The correct answer here is option A, that is Sachinanda Sinha. Now, Sachinanda Sinha was elected as he was the oldest member of the assembly, and this was a French practice of choosing the oldest member to be the chairman of the assembly. Moving on to the next slide. Who among the following presented the objective resolution? The correct answer here is option A, that is Jawaharlal Nehru. Now, the objective resolution was presented on 13 December 1946. This is important from your exam point of view. The next question is, which of the following act had introduced bicameralism in India? The correct answer here is option A, that is Government of India Act 1919. Bicameralism was introduced by Montagu-Chelmsford reform. The act also introduced direct election but with limited franchise. Moving on to the next slide. Objective resolution is enshrined in which of the following? The correct answer here is option A, that is preamble. The next question is, Union Power and Union Constitution Committee was held under the chairmanship of? The correct answer here is option D, that is Jawaharlal Nehru. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was the chairman of Provisional Constitution Committee and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the Drafting Committee. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following statements are true? The national flag was adopted on 22nd June 1947. The national anthem was adopted on 24 January 1950, or the national song was adopted on 22nd June 1947. You can pause the video and tick the correct answer. Here, only option 1 and 2 are correct. That is, option A is correct. The third statement is wrong because the national song was adopted on 24 January 1950 along with the national anthem. Moving on to the next slide. Which of the following were added by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment? Here the correct answer is option B, 2 only, because sovereign, republic and democratic were already there in the constitution. The new words added were socialist, secular and integrity. Moving on to the next slide. Who among the following describe the preamble as the heart and soul of the constitution? The correct answer here is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The next question is, the objective resolution was accepted by the Constituent Assembly on? Here the correct answer is option A, that is 26 November 1949. Moving on to the next slide. Which of the following types of justice are mentioned in the preamble? Social, political or economic? Here, option C is correct. In the preamble, we find the mention of all the 3 types of justice, that is social, economic and political. Moving on to the next slide. Which of the following liberty is not mentioned in the preamble of the Constitution? Here you have to remember that it is not mentioned in the preamble. So, The correct answer here is option A, that is liberty of economy. In the preamble of India, there are 5 types of liberty mentioned. They are liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. The next question is, Supreme Court has declared preamble to be a part of the Constitution through which of the following cases? The correct answer here is option B, that is Keshavnand Bharati. Moving on to the last question of the day. Which of the following is key to the minds of makers of the Constitution? The correct answer here is option C, that is preamble. That's all for today. We'll come up with some new questions tomorrow. Till then, thank you for listening.